Before we jump too far into this video, I just want to say quick apologies for not being able to cover the last few Winnipeg Jets games properly. I know they've been playing really well as well, so it kind of sucks that I haven't been able to post it. Just been busy and unfortunately haven't had the time to cover the games properly. As you guys know, though, Zach from the Nolan Hockey Podcast, he covers almost every single game and gets them up even way before I do. So if I ever miss a reaction, always just go check him out. I'll make sure to put his link in the description again, just so you guys can go over and watch other Jets fans' opinions on games in case I'm not able to get my game recap videos out for you guys on certain occasions. But nonetheless, I want to talk about this game where the Winnipeg Jets basically shit the bed, in the best way to put it, I'm sorry to say, but like, this game was embarrassing for the Jets, in my opinion, because they started out really strong, and I was like, damn, like, this is going to be a great game for the Jets. Like, I'm happy to watch this one. Early game, coming home from work, trade deadline, nothing too crazy happening, not a lot to cover and talk about, gonna relax and watch this game, long day at work, and I thought it was going to be one of those games against Ottawa where it's just, a pretty good start for the Jets, and then they just maintained that, steady lead against this team. But like every single commentator that you watch when it comes to the Ottawa Senators says nowadays, this team is a lot of heart and they're never out. Because let me tell you, they were never out of this game tonight. And Ottawa just came back and just put the Jets to shame tonight. And it really showed, because when the Jets have a bad night like this, in particularly I want to talk about off nights of their star players. And in particular, I'm talking about Connor Hellebuyck and Nikolai Ehlers, in my opinion. Those two guys, when they are on fire, they are some of the best players in the league. And also they are massively important to the success this team has night in and night out based off of their performances. If they don't have good nights, the Jets don't really win a lot of the time without those two guys. Unless Laurent Brossoit is in, and that's a different situation we're talking about, or Ehlers is out with an injury. But nonetheless, when those two guys aren't playing their best game, the Jets usually don't play the best sometimes. It's just the way it goes. The top six is a very important part of this offense, and when the offense doesn't click and they can't get anything working, the team usually doesn't do so well. And that's basically the definition, in my opinion, of this game against the Ottawa Senators tonight. You started off the game pretty good. You got those two goals right off the back, basically. You were able to get it up. And they were good goals, too. Like, Connor's goal on that power play was a beauty. He finally got it after, 4 attempts. It felt like it got the same shot being an attempt. And then he finally gets it in. How many times are you going to let him do that, Ottawa? But nonetheless, he made them pay for it eventually and got a great goal there. And also, Ehlers flying in gets that great goal. And the first period, in my opinion, had a lot of positives. Yeah, the Jets in their own end stumbled at times, but Logan Stanley was playing pretty good hockey in that first period, getting into that fight, obviously, to kind of avenge that elbow from the kind of slew hit, I guess you would say, that Brady Tkachuk threw on Wheeler to give him that concussion. So avenging his captain there, you'd like to see that, and also just want to see more growth from Logan Stanley, having him fight like this, trying to fight Corey Perry, coming in, standing up for his team as a big, gritty defenseman. It's exactly what he needs to do to earn Paul Maurice's trust, in my opinion, so I'm really happy to see him doing that more and really standing up and building into that role of being that physical, really big presence that he really is. Because when you look at the guy, he's not only massive on the ice because of his size and how tall he is, but he's a physically big guy, so you want to see him throw his weight around and get physical and fight like that. So I'm really happy to see that side of his game develop so far in the NHL. So good game, in my opinion, for Stanley. Not so much of a good game for Tucker Poolman. Now, this is an interesting topic, in my opinion, because as you guys are mostly aware of by now, the Winnipeg Jets did acquire Jordie Benn from the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for a 6th-round pick in this year's draft today at the trade deadline on the 12th. So now that you have a guy like Benn that can come in, do you take out Tucker Poolman and insert in Jamie Benn? Because in my opinion, there's no way you can justify Logan Stanley coming out of this lineup. There's not a single way you can justify it, in my opinion. The guy has earned his spot. He earns it every game he's out there. He's got so much heart. The teammates love him. Paul Maurice, in my opinion, is starting to really like him too, because he's got a lot of trust he puts in this guy now, I feel like. So I want to see him stay in the lineup. Tucker Poolman, in my opinion, he can be taken out all season long. He has not been good. I've talked about this a lot. I just do not like Tucker Poolman's game. He doesn't do much of anything right. He looks lost in his own end at times. He can't rush the puck up or move the puck up at all. And he's always got this weak, wrist shot that he throws on net that you could see the puck. It's almost such a weak shot. And it always gets hit and deflected wide of the net, or just drops dead and hits a body in the slot. He never has a deadly shot. He just is a useless body out there. He's a pylon, in my opinion. And I just don't understand why he's inconsistently when you guys have Ville Heinola, Dylan Samberg, and hell, even Sami Niku, who has at times played decent this season, coming in and playing over Tucker Poolman consistently. Tucker Poolman has done nothing to deserve a spot, in my opinion. And the way he played the game tonight was just embarrassing. You go and look at the Lions tonight too, and honestly, they had a pretty good night for just being the basic lines that the Jets have, because they were rolling out very similar lines to what they rolled out in that Montreal series. I'm pulling up the lines right now, exactly what we're talking about it, because I just want to make sure I have all the stuff properly labeled for you guys. But nonetheless, it was important important, in my opinion, tonight to see whether or not the defense and how it would, fit, because now that we have Jamie Benn, it's going to be an interesting situation. Jordy Ben, excuse me. I wish we had Jamie Benn. I'm going to keep doing that in so many videos. I feel like now I'm going to be calling him all like that all the time. I can't find the current lineup right now, but nonetheless, if I'm not mistaken, Tucker Pullman was playing with Dylan DeMello tonight. Now, Dylan DeMello is a good defenseman, but when he has to make a play and make up for the shitty performance that Tucker Pullman has, he looks like a bad defenseman. There's a lot of reasons why the Jets fans out there want Dylan DeMello exposed, because they think he's not that good of a defenseman because he doesn't play with the right pairings. There's a reason why Jets fans wanted to sign DeMello after he played on the top pairing with Josh Morrissey last year after being acquired at the deadline, because he looked good. Use him in the right area. Stop putting Pullman and Morrissey on the first line, because that's basically what they did tonight from a lot of the time. Pullman is not a first pairing guy, and Morrissey is struggling to have to play with bums like this night in and night out, and it's brought his overall game crashing like horribly. He's not even close to what he used to be, right? So what do you have to do to fix that? Balance out your lines. And clearly Tucker Pullman is not the answer anymore. And Huddy and Paul Maurice need to address this and really, focus on building this defense better, in my opinion. Because now the deadline's over. You got to make do with what you have. You got to play Ville Heinola. You got to play Sandberg, potentially, and Niku. And you got to play Jordy Ben at times where he would fit in well. You can't just have Jordy Ben come in and expect him to be a top 4 guy, because he's not that. He's a defensive specialist and a penalty kill specialist. Now, yes, he's good in that areas, and that's good to have a guy like that. Specialists are good, especially depth specialists like that going into a playoff run. I don't think anyone's arguing that. But the problem is, and what most Jets fans were worried about going into this deadline and how it affects this game, in my opinion, is that they thought we still needed top 4 help. And in my opinion, this game showed exactly why we need top 4 help. Pullman isn't a number 1 defenseman. He shouldn't be playing on that top pairing. Just like how Nathan Beaulieu is not a top pairing defenseman and shouldn't be playing in that role. They need to realize that if they want to play guys on that top pairing with Morrissey, and they want to use Morrissey as much as they do and have his usage that high, they got to have players that can play well and mesh in well with him. And so far, we've seen Dylan DeMello have proven to do this in the past, so I don't understand why they keep splitting up Morrissey and DeMello. It makes no sense to me. You have a solid pairing in Forbort and Pionk. Forbort at times doesn't look as consistent as he did at the start of the season, but nonetheless, in my opinion, that's still a pretty decent pairing, and at times are definitely our number 1 pairing still. So what are you supposed to do if you are, the Jets, and you have this type of issue with the defense and you don't address it? You have to play the young guys. I know it's a bit of a long rant there, but in my opinion, that's really what was a big aspect of tonight's loss, in my opinion, is that defensively they just weren't good enough. And also they just weren't, their skill level wasn't good enough. The defense just did not do enough, in my opinion, tonight. And more importantly, the offense just looked off all night after that first period. Like I said, I don't understand how a team like the Jets with this much offensive power can come out, start strong against a weak team like Ottawa, and then completely fizzle out for the next 2 periods and give out 3 unanswered goals. Technically 4, if I'm not actually, now that I'm realizing that, because that was an even strength goal that Brady Tkachuk scored at the end. 4 unanswered goals, and that's how you surrender the game. Like that's horrible. You especially against a team like Ottawa, to do that after winning 3 in a row against top teams, like playing good hockey. It's just, this is not the Jets, the best way of showing how they are right now. And Ville Heinola needs to be playing the next game, in my opinion. The defense, if you're not going to play Jordy Ben and you're going to put him in a top 4 role, you're just setting him up to fail. And then what? We're just going to be overworking another depth defenseman and playing him as a top 4. That's not the way you manage a team trying to compete for a cup. The team is solid offensively, and I'm not even going to talk much about the offense because they just had a bad night. It happens in hockey. We all know that. But the problem that really screwed up the team tonight was, in my opinion, the way the defense was structured, how the pairings were done, and the fact that the offense and Hellebuyck had an off night. When that happens and Hellebuyck is an off night and the offense has an off night, you need to have your defense be able to at least bail you out in some extent. And the Jets' defense just failed them in every regards tonight, in my opinion. The offense, yeah, it was bad, and you could say that, they could have done more to get more shots on net, and that's true. But in my opinion, where it all starts is in your own end. Defense wins championships, we all know that, and the Jets' offense is loaded. But when they have an off night, you need to be able to rely on certain elements of your game to help bail you out when your offense isn't scoring 4 goals a night. And the Jets' defense cannot bail them out in certain situations like this, and especially against a team like the Ottawa Senators. Now, I know the Ottawa Senators have been hotter of late, but that doesn't excuse the fact that you gave up 4 unanswered goals to the worst team in the North Division, a team that you've dominated almost all season long. This was not a good win. This is not a good start to anything, really, in my opinion. And hopefully Paul Maurice will actually be able to see that, shit, my defense does need to have more youth. It does need to have more speed and try to shake things up. If Ville Heinola fails and he doesn't work, I don't care. I really don't. I'm not some like hardcore Ville Heinola fan that has to be in the lineup, fail or succeed. You gotta try to experiment and find the best way and the best lines throughout your entire from top to bottom. You have to try to experiment and find what works best for your club. And Paul Maurice doesn't do that. Paul Maurice just puts guys wherever he thinks they'll stick. He throws them, and if they don't stick, he doesn't take them off. He waits for them to basically die off. Like, look, Nathan Beaulieu would probably still be playing in the top 4 or consistently jumping in and having like 23-minute plus more minutes a game if he didn't get injured, in my opinion. I really think that would be something we could see consistently, is him jumping between that top 4 still. And I think that's really wrong. Like, no matter how you cut it, like, that should not be how you have a top 4 stable. Like, that's not a stable top 4 whatsoever. I think that, honestly, hopefully after this game, Paul Maurice and Huddy will actually finally open their eyes and be like, okay, we just gave up 4 unanswered goals, the defense sucked, our offense wasn't doing it, and our defense couldn't bail us out. What are we going to do to help fix this for next game? And hopefully they'll be able to experiment and find something that works, because, seriously, you can't bring Jordie Benn in and expect him to be a top 4 guy and overwork him like Nathan Beaulieu, like Tucker Pullman. It's pathetic at this point, and it's not going to bring this team success in the long run, the short term, no matter what way you cut it. Playing and finding the best current lineup with what you have left is your only option, because you passed up better players at the deadline today. So Chevy, Maurice, Huddy, you guys better get your shit together and get these lineups really solid and find what works, and stop throwing these guys that don't work in these roles and expecting them to be these top 4 guys that are going to carry a defensive core, because Tucker Pullman is not that guy. Nathan Beaulieu is not that guy, and Jordie Benn is certainly not that guy. So hopefully they'll be able to figure out something to do for the next game. And other than that, I'm going to end this video here. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, if you're a fan of the Winnipeg Jets or a fan of hockey, regardless of the team you root for, definitely consider dropping a subscription, as we're on that road to 1K subscribers, and any support you can give the channel is greatly appreciated. Make sure to go follow all my socials that are down in the description below. My Twitter and whatnot are all down there, so definitely consider dropping a follow if those are some platforms that you consistently use. Thank you so much for all the support and the content of late. As always, it really does mean the world to me that you guys enjoy the content, because if you guys don't enjoy it, I'm not going to be making it. So thank you so much for watching and taking the time to leave comments and like. It means a lot to me. Peace, love, and positivity as always, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you guys in the next video. Go Jets, go.